Yes, my G's. I've got another vital bass for you guys today, and this one is pure filth. And I've actually called it something else though. It's called free credits. I'm not sure why I named it that. Oh, maybe because I got some free credits from Airbnb. That's why. Anyway, it sounds like this. And as you can see, I've got a whole heap of channel EQs on it because I used a lot of creative stereo effects in the sound, but just because of the amount of low end content in it that was stereoed, I really had to go pretty hardcore with my mid side EQing. So I've got one mid side EQ there, another one there, another one there, another one there, and another little mid side EQ cut there, just to get the stereo a bit more controlled. But it's absolutely fine. You know, this is what sometimes you got to do a bit of work after the patch, right? But it just makes it tighter in the low end, makes it all a bit tighter. But let's recreate the sound then, okay? So I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna turn off the effects quickly, and we're gonna go back to the beginning, the voice in. And yeah, I actually just used 3 sine waves in this patch because recently I did a phase plant tutorial where I strayed away from using sine waves to make a lead sound, and shortly after I had sort of withdrawal symptoms and I needed sine waves in my life again. So I've gone back to sine waves again. We've got 3, so we've got one at -24, which is stereoed. This is like for a creative effect with the unison. We've got one at +5, and we've got one at -24. Alright, I've got some movement going on as well, as you can see here. So what I actually did was, once I had these three sine waves, I actually already turned on the distortion on the drive up about 16 dB on the soft clipping. So having the distortion on enabled me to choose what pitches I wanted. Because when you pitch sine waves differently through distortion, you always get really interesting results, I've found. So I put some pitch movement actually onto, I think it's just this one here actually. It's quite subtle in the end. Yeah, there's a little bit of detuned movement on this sort of LFO here. And I also put this LFO on the detuning of this first oscillator. This is this kind of stereoed sub. And remember, it's sound design, so there's no rules. So I'm breaking every conceivable music scientific rule in order to get the tonality. So that's going on. This +5, which is mono, and this other underbelly of another -24 that's mono. All right. The pitch movements you hear are programmed in. So I'm playing like an E, and there's a little note that goes up to a G, so it starts down, goes down a semitone, and it's just gliding on the legato here, so giving a bit of variation to the bass line, you know. But there's actually a small adjustment I've done. Excuse me. This first LFO, I've used the stereo mode quite heavily. So it's made it really wide, and it's made even more phasing problems and concerns for everyone, you know. But it's a really important part to the sound because it gives it a different kind of feeling, you know. So I've stereoed that to the left, and what the stereo does is it basically, whatever you're tracking to the LFO, you know, be it, you know, the pitch movement or the detuning, it'll like split it into 2 signals, left and right, and it'll put a little time difference between them, like the Haas effect kind of thing. So you get this stereo trick happening, but it kind of like weakens your mono a bit, but you get a cooler vibe, you know. So like that's one of the reasons why I had to mid-side EQ so much of it, to tighten up the low end. But it's absolutely fine because I'm creating a great stereo vibe. That's the main goal, you know. As long as it's not too overboard, it's still going to be fine. So here it is. And so the second LFO, this controls the phase of the first one. Okay, so LFO2 going into LFO1, and yeah, the LFO2 basically it's an LFO sandwich, so it's modulating the phase of LFO1, but it's also it's very subtle because it kind of always repeats and starts again, so it never really gets all the way up. It just does a little subtle movement to the first LFO. Okay, just keeps it a little bit random. And I've used the stereo mode on here as well. So there's another way to inject like an interesting stereo interest to the sound. So they both kind of work together in a sense. Yeah, anyway, next, a bit of pink noise on a filter. Okay, this is, it sounds quite loud now, but we'll turn on the other filter here now. So all of the sine waves are going through this phaser negative filter. Okay, this is how they sound without the noise. So it's the phaser negative filter, and you can see here that it's sort of splitting into two, and that's because the stereo mode is on here, you know? Oh, I think so anyway, yeah. Yeah, if I turn them both off, then you'll lose that stereo effect. It was obviously showing the stereo from... that's very interesting, I didn't know that it was doing that. So it actually showed me the stereo from the LFO that was modulating the LFO that I actually used. So that's quite advanced actually. That's a new little Easter egg. Basically, you know, LFO1 is the main one that's tracked to the filter, you know. So when I turned the stereo off, I would have expected it wouldn't show the stereo from LFO2 because LFO2 is actually just routing into LFO1. But obviously the filter has picked that up and is still displaying that. So that's pretty cool. I never actually knew that. Proper nerdy little detail, but it's all good fun. So that's cool. I wonder now if I turned the noise up too high. In retrospect, I might have that a bit lower because it is getting a bit scratchy. But anyway, let's move on now because that's everything here. We can move to the next part now. So I actually used like a flanger filter sound. So it's the comb spread flange plus filter, and I put that actually at the beginning before the distortion. This was a thing I did later on during when I was finishing up the patch. But yeah, sometimes I'll use the actual flanger. In this case, I used the sort of flanger filter, which is doing the similar thing, but it sounds slightly different. But anyway, sometimes recently I like to put a bit of flanging kind of before it goes through all the processing to add like an extra chance for weird happy accidents to happen. Because sometimes the flanger will like act in unpredictable ways through the processing. And so some of my best patches have been when I've done that. And it's like by accident created a new tone, so I try it often and see what happens. A bit of chorus. There's some movements on the flanger, like on the LFO. The mix is moving, the cutoff is moving, the chorus as well on the LFO. The mix amount is kind of going on and off a bit. It's a very subtle chorus effect. The compressor, the multiband here, this is basically how I always use it, just like it's parallel distortion signal, just a mix of 0.13, yeah. Little distortion signal, right? And it's pretty much done now. It's a little bit of an equalizer. It's a little boost. There was a tiny little hole in the spectrum. I just brought that up a bit to level everything out. A touch of reverb just to finish, like 3%. That's it, really. Let's go back and compare to my other version where the noise was a bit quieter. Sorry, louder. I prefer it actually. Like I'm gonna re-save it now. You guys know I always put my little X at the end when I've finished the patch. I actually haven't finished the patch because I'll go ahead and do macros to it at some point in the future. But yeah, I actually kind of prefer this one with a little lower volume on the noise. So now let's listen again in the beat and see if it sounds even better. Yeah, nice and tight there. And so yeah, processing wise, I already kind of told you about the mid-side EQing. I put a little side chain onto my kick. That's it really. And then yeah, just loads of side cuts. I do them in stages because I want to get the smoothest finish. EQing a bass for me is like sculpting like a car bonnet of a retro Porsche. You know, you got to like, you almost do it with your fingernails, you know, scrape the metal until it's perfect. Yeah, so no, that's basically it, right? Yeah, just a bit of sound design vital joy today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. May I quickly remind you as well, I've got banging vital presets available on my website, as well as Phaseplant and current presets. Some free ones on there as well for Vital and Phaseplant, but I will warn you that I did make those about 5 years ago, and I don't remember what they sound like, and they're probably not very good. But all the premium packs are excellent quality, excellent sound quality. The demos don't do them justice, I've heard from many happy customers. So grab yourself some presets if you like. If you want to book lessons with me, I do one-on-one coaching. You can book via the link down below. All things music production related. You will level up so much faster when you learn with me than if you were to just continue sitting around watching YouTube videos. But that's not for everyone. However, it's my favourite thing to do is to teach music, so I'm always open to having new people. And thirdly, if you'd like to join my wonderful Discord community, you're more than welcome. It's accessible only via Patreon. You do have to pay a little bit to get in, but that's what makes it a private club, and that's what makes it nice and exclusive. And it is a community of amazing people. They're so kind, so nice, funny. Love the guys in there, and we're always happy to have a few new people join us. So come along and say hi in the Discord. And if you guys want any mixing and mastering done as well, you can just email me info@artefactmusic.com. info@artonefactmusic.com. And yeah, that's about it for today. More from me very soon. Much love. Take care. Also subscribe if you're new, please. That would be very, very great. And hit the like button as well. That would be lovely. Yeah, see you guys on the next one. Take care.